This is episode 74 of our talk, and today I have Karen Turner as my guest. So let me first introduce you to Karen. Do I pronounce it right, Karen? Karen?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Karen?
Karen.
Okay. Karen is an award-winning figure and portrait artist whose oil paintings are commentary on the weight of expectations. So focusing on the physical body and the scrutiny to which it is commonly subjected, her paintings explore what society expects of a woman, the ways in which a woman's shape is often considered to define her, and the impact that this has on her life and sense of self. So welcome, Karen. I'm really honored to have you as my guest.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be invited.
You're welcome. So let me first start with telling everyone, go look at her work because it's absolutely stunning. And I was stunned by your work when I saw it.
Thank you.
I looked through your website and I had like, wow. Yeah, and it really spoke to me since I'm very interested in how women are defined by the male gaze through art history mainly. And what brought you to examine that through your paintings?
Well, it's an interesting question in that I'm not sure I ever really was specifically thinking about the male gaze. I was more thinking about society's gaze because I think women are just as judgmental as men when it comes to women's bodies. As much as they might sometimes sort of feel uncomfortable about their own and therefore ought to understand other people's feelings around their bodies, I think women are judgmental, probably because they're judgmental of their own bodies. And they often are unhappy with what they see, and then they project that on other people, because I listen a lot to people within the fat community and on Instagram and that kind of thing, and people who are fully entrenched in it and really understand how awful it is and how awful society is to people like that. They still, even though they know that they shouldn't feel badly about their own bodies, they still struggle with the fact that sometimes they do, even though they know that's it's just ridiculous and they shouldn't feel that way. It's a really difficult thing to lose that sense of horror with your own body. So yeah, I don't think I've ever really specifically been thinking about the male gaze. I've been thinking about just society's gaze.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think you're right. It is, or maybe in my sense, it has become society's gaze.
Mm.
And women are very harsh. They can be really harsh towards each other.
Yep.
Not everyone has this tiny body. And what a lot of people do not know even, and I know because I had friends who were in dance, like a ballet. They are kind of wearing themselves out by
Yeah.
not eating.
Yeah.
And because they need to be light, because we created a sense of how a body should look. We
Yes.
see that in fashion. And so
Yep.
if you don't fit that size, then you're suddenly not enough.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, but it's so hard to lose that way of thinking because it's just ingrained from, from the minute you're able to kind of think about the way you look and feel and how you fit in. And it's thrown at you from all angles. It's, I mean, the medical profession, for a start, I think have a lot to answer for in terms of the way people are viewed, because so often if you have a conversation with people about it, they'll say, oh yeah, but it's not healthy though, is it? And that's their excuse.
Yeah.
For bullying people about their size, when you cannot tell anything. You've got no sense of anybody's health by just looking at them. You just don't know.
You have no clue.
No.
And no, you have no clue. Yeah, and you say it's how medical world has looked. If you look at the Enlightenment, there is where women were scrutinized by men, their brain size, but also their bodies. The whole medical body is based on the male body and not on a female body, which is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a lot we have to change. And
Mm.
if we look at art history, we see almost always women on paintings painted by a man. And do you
Yes.
think that the way female bodies, so the bodies itself, are perceived is because of the male gaze?
I mean, yeah, it probably is because, women are expected to look appealing, in a way
Mm,
that men aren't. Men aren't, I mean, it's not to say men aren't judged when they're overweight, because they are, but they're not judged as harshly and as frequently as women are, because one thing that women are expected to be is attractive.
yeah,
That's just something that it's part of your job to be
yeah,
attractive. And
yeah,
if you're not, you're less, or you're being lazy, or you're just so unfortunate that you're so hideous that you're not worth sort of you know looking at. So yes,
yeah,
and that is that the person you're supposed to be attractive for is a man. So yeah,
yeah.
it surely is the male gaze that's doing that.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, maybe you think that too, because somehow there was in the 18th century, we were painted, um, idealized, how
Yeah.
men thought we needed to be. And you see this very much in fashion, you see
Yeah.
it in ballet, you see it also in how we are looked at, in the Western world, because that
Yeah.
you have cultures where when you have a voluptuous body, that's a sign of wealth
Yes.
and beauty.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, it is, and it's true when you sort of say fashion as well. I think you'll have had different artists, and then subsequently different fashion designers and different choreographers. Was it Balanchine that had a really
Mhm.
clear idea of what one of his dancers should look like, and that was really very slim.
Yeah,
Not that all dancers aren't expected, but they are. But I think in his case, I could be wrong, but I think in his case he was particularly strict about it. So yeah, I think, throughout time, presumably, the different ways people are expected to look have been based on the way a man has had his ideal woman. So, different designers will design their clothes for their muse, their particular type of
yeah,
body.
yeah,
And everybody's
yeah,
expected to fit into one of those categories. If they can't fit into that one, they'll look for another one, and there just aren't very many that are particularly normal. And I'm conscious as well, we often talk about not looking at the normal body. I'm conscious of trying to represent as well in my work, not just normal bodies in terms of, what is a larger body. And I know that the body positivity movement has been overtaken slightly by people who are still able to wear clothes off the peg. So people who are size 14, 16, and I would definitely want to make sure that I'm trying to represent more larger bodies than that even, and
hmm
I'd like to go even larger, because women generally do feel very self-conscious of their body. It's very
yeah,
easy to be a size 10 and a 12 and think you can join in that conversation. And I think
yeah,
that's fine, have that conversation, but the people we should really be hearing from are the people that really feel it and that really suffer and
yeah,
that are discriminated against throughout their lives.
yeah, yeah.
And that is people who are larger and can't buy clothes off the peg. So I'm conscious of wanting
Yeah,
to
and
focus
and the thing is, and I've heard that before, but I find that so courageous of you to address this through your art. And we just had a little conversation before we started. But also, you said my sitters are the real ones who are courage, are who have the courage to do that because they expose themselves and well, they recognize them. They know who they are when you painted them, and you paint them beautiful. So that's not a problem. Um, if you have done that, does it give them more a more self-esteem, more value through your art?
I don't think more value necessarily, because I think they understand their value, and that's why they're willing to sit and paint. Because some of my models are professional models, and more
Mm-hmm.
recently I've worked with some who aren't professional, and that's kind of where I see the bravery. I think to have never sat for an artist before, to have never really even been photographed that way, to turn up to a complete stranger studio and take your clothes off. I think that's the bravery. I'm really conscious of
Yeah.
not wanting to say that people are brave for living in a larger body, because there's no bravery in that. That's just what you
No,
are. That
that's who
shouldn't be
you are.
considered
Yeah.
brave.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
wanting to wear the clothes that you want to
Yeah.
wear. But I think to go to a stranger's house
Yeah.
and sit for a painting, I think is brave. And also for that painting, especially now that I'm getting better known, to know that that painting is going to be seen by quite a lot of people. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is definitely brave. But I think that
Yeah.
they definitely know their worth and they know that they're beautiful. And so I don't think it's made them sort of feel more worth, but I think it's probably made them feel more beautiful, maybe. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe that's the word. And I like
Yeah.
that because um, if you look at them, the way you dress them or the way they are dressed or undressed or just a little bit, they are beautiful.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are beautiful as they are. And yeah,
And I think, you know, I mean, I can see that, and I think they know that, but I think it's
hmm,
nice for them to see it sort of put out there so plainly, so they can
yeah,
say, you know, that figure is beautiful, that figure is mine, and everybody else can see how beautiful I am. And I
yeah,
think that's a huge
yeah,
part of why I do it, and it's a huge part of the feedback that I get whenever I show any work.
hmm,
Um, because you know, people will often look at the work in a show and say, you know, that figure looks like my figure. And it's really rare for me to see A, my figure on a canvas, and B, to have it
yeah,
look beautiful. And if they look beautiful, maybe I'm
yeah,
beautiful. And that's
yeah,
the best kind of feedback I ever get at any kind of
yeah.
exhibition.
So the question, to what extent do you think, or maybe hope, your work makes women aware of their own beauty? You just answer that.
Yeah,
Those,
yeah.
yeah. And do you get a lot of feedback of people who see that? They say, "Oh my God, thank you, because now I also feel beautiful."
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every now and then you get the odd person, especially it's something like an art fair where you have a big audience passing through. You sometimes have people who will shuffle by and say, "Oh, I can't look because it makes me think of me and it's horrible." You know, they don't mean the paintings are horrible, but they just really can't even begin to think about their own bodies. So you get the odd one of those. I mean, mostly people are grateful to see figures like their own on a canvas and they feel beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, because I do portraits, as you can see behind me,
Yeah.
and last year. I started a project um, specifically for women to portray them, and I asked them, "No, no, 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 no. I don't want my own face on the wall. No, 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 no. I don't even look at myself in the mirror."
Mm, mm,
And it made me think. That's why my interest is, and I had like, yeah, that is, even if we look now, young people, and way back, I have participated in an art exhibition that was called Mea Vulva, because
mhm.
even that part of the body wasn't accepted, even by
Yeah,
young girls,
yeah.
and they started to operate on it, plastic surgery, etc. And it's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
in the Netherlands, there was a whole exhibition about that, a traveling exhibition. But what are your thoughts about social media now and teenage girls and young adults who can't even look at themselves without any filter? Because you have these
Yeah.
filters and they make them as if everything is like, and have like,
Yeah, I mean,
wow,
yeah, it's clearly that kind of thing's just got worse and worse over the decades because I think for years young people have seen magazines of slim bodies and haven't had
yeah,
this idea of how they have to look a particular way and dress a particular way and the pressure to even have the money to buy the clothes to be fashionable and that kind of thing. But yeah, social media will have made that significantly worse. The only good thing I can see though is that it has allowed there to be influencers on social media in large bodies and
mm-hmm,
genuinely large bodies, not just like I said, the sort of body positivity thing, which has been taken over by people of size sort of 16. You know, there are definitely people out there a lot bigger than that who have a voice
yeah,
and are, you know, helpful to people who aren't used to seeing that kind of person being able to be proud and loud and wear the clothes they want to wear. So, you know, you don't see as many of those as you see slim figures, but I think at least social media is offering that other side if people know that it's there for them to go and look for,
yeah.
which is valuable.
That is very valuable. Yeah, yeah. So we need more painters like you.
And we need more people like them, because they're the people that are inspiring me, and they're the people that I'm hoping to paint, and in some instances I've got lined up to paint, and I want to paint more of them. So
Yeah.
yeah, thanks to them I'm able to paint.
Yeah. So if you had the opportunity to talk with someone to discuss this still so apparent issue of the female body and how it's perceived by people themselves, but also society, who would that be
I
and
don't think it would be
what?
one person. I think it would be, unless it was one person representing a big group of people, and it would be the medical industry, because I just think they have so much to answer for in terms of people still being hounded for their size. And
Mhm.
if you talk to people of a certain size, the number of them who have been denied medical treatment because of their size, and just bullied because of it, and told that their symptoms aren't real, and if you lose weight, your problems will go away, and people, who've had cancers ignored, all sorts of things ignored, because the medical profession assume that it's just down to their size, and therefore the rest of society being able to use that as an excuse. Because although most people I speak to through my work um, do agree that it doesn't matter what size you are, that you there will be still some people who will look at my paintings and say, yeah, that figure's beautiful, but not healthy though. And it's that is it's just such a frustrating thing to be constantly, the amount of people that genuinely truly still think it, and they think it because of the medical profession. I was reading the introduction of a book recently. I can't actually remember the name of it or the author, but he's a doctor. He's one of those two twins who do a lot of medical stuff on TV, Van Tulken or something, and one of them's written a book about food. And I was really surprised. I haven't read the book yet, but I read the intro. I was really surprised that he admitted that the medical profession are judgmental towards people of a certain size, and that they shouldn't be, and that there is genuinely no scientific reason to say being over a certain size means you're unhealthy.
No.
So yeah, if maybe he could speak to the medical profession for me, that would help. But I just think it would be so helpful to people, because that's, aside from people being judgmental about what they look like, they people use that as an excuse
Yeah.
for judging them
Yeah.
over what they look like.
That's absolutely true. And what annoys me personally is that they build a whole industry on it with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gyms, etc. And where people don't understand that, yeah, you are not all, we are not all built differently.
yeah. I
First
mean,
of
but
all,
even more than gyms is the diet industry, because actually, thankfully, there are some gyms that aren't judgmental about size, and there are influencers, well, not influencers, they're professional athletes, and but sports people who are larger, and they're proving that you can be an incredibly successful athlete no matter your body size. And I definitely know there are companies like Les Mills, who are gym companies, that constantly bang on about, this isn't about what you look like, this is about how you feel, this is about your strength. And they have people of all sorts of sizes doing their classes. So I think the issue is less than gyms, it's more it's the diet industry. And the diet industry is often the reason why people are larger, because the
mm,
more you diet, the more your body will struggle with
yep,
food,
yep,
and
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's people. I mean, I was listening to an episode quite some months ago, because I can't listen to it anymore, of Americast, and they were talking about why America has so many fat people, and they said, "Oh, I might have to revisit this in a future episode." And I've never been able to listen to that podcast ever since, because just the judgmental way that
yeah,
they were just
yeah,
dismissing
yeah,
people.
yeah,
And if they do want to revisit that at some point, maybe they should be looking at the diet industry for the reason why
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there are
yeah,
so many larger
absolutely,
Americans, because that's
absolutely,
what's done
yeah,
it.
yeah. The diet industry is killing.
Yeah.
And also, but in the gym also, people think that they have to run and run and run and run, but you bring your body in a constant stress and you build the cortisone and you won't
Yes,
lose
that's true. Yes,
anything.
you have to be
And
careful
and
how
and
you
you
do it.
you you
Yeah.
really frustrate yourself. And that is, to me, and that is what I like at your art so much. You have um artistically captured those female bodies in such a beautiful, embracing, loving way that it opens your eyes to what beauty can be without being judgmental. And I think that's where we need to go. And I think it's, okay, maybe it's a big one, but I always say it's a criminal way to use someone's body where he doesn't feel comfortable with, because society doesn't feel comfortable with it, to build your money on.
Yeah,
To
oh,
build a
definitely.
$1 million industry or
Yeah.
pound or euros or whatever based
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, it's
And
bad
if I,
enough judging people, but to actually,
yeah,
to earn
yeah,
loads and loads, millions
yeah,
of, yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Where can people find you? Because,
Wait,
yeah, your website, of course.
my website is, yeah, well, you can find me online. I am www.karenturnerfineart.com. And I'm on Instagram at Karen_Turner_artist.
Great. I will put it in the show notes.
Brilliant.
Any exhibitions people can follow soon?
I just had an exhibition in Norwich. I have got one coming up in January in London. It's a slightly more complicated one though. It's a solo show, but it's part of the Jubel Emerging Artist Prize, and it's kind of hosted by them with Red 8 Gallery, who are a gallery based in the Royal Exchange in London. But I'm not entirely sure how it works yet in terms of the public viewing it, because there's a private view, but then after that the show moves to Homegrown Members Club in Mayfair for a month. But because it's a private members club, I'm not quite sure how access works. So I need to find out a little bit more about the details. But they should also have an online show around the same time, so at least that would be available to everybody. And then I often do exhibit at the other art fair in London. So at some point
Oh, yeah.
next year, I hopefully will be able to do that as well. I would normally go for March, but it might be a little bit too soon after the solo show. I need to build up a bit more of a body of work again, because my paintings take quite a while to make. So hopefully
Yeah,
maybe next October I'll be back there.
that's great. I will put that in the show notes anyway, if I can find it. And thank you so much. I loved
Thank you for
talking to
having
you.
me. It's been really, really lovely to talk. Thank you.
Thank you.